Love, love, until I feel the breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Hello, welcome to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Catherine Dalby. Welcome, Catherine. It's great to have you.
It's good to be here.
So you've been a person of faith for many years.
Yes.
And now you're 84. Wow.
Yes.
And what's been your journey like of faith?
Well, to start off with my parents when I was in India. Both my parents were people of great faith, very strict with us, and when we had to go to church, our catechism, our daily prayer, family prayer, etc., to see that we were there for the adoration and so forth, the churches, everything. So, and mostly Dad and myself used to go more for the adoration and First Fridays and all those things. And then after that, when Mum had the twins, she had twins, and and one died and the other one was there, and she couldn't cope with it. So she stopped me from school. I was only 13 years old when she stopped me, so I had no education at all.
Oh, right.
Yes,
so because she wanted you to help her look up.
Help her there, So yes. I was with her, and at 17, after the twins were growing up and everything was okay, at 17 I got married, at 17. And I thought marriage was something different, but it was not all we thought it would be. So with my husband and thing, he was about 14 years older than me.
Really? Was it an arranged marriage?
No, it wasn't arranged marriage. It wasn't, yes. So I had a bit of a hard time, but we had to keep our marriage going. My parents were very strict on that, no matter what happens.
Oh, so you didn't get along that well?
Yes, I tried to do my best, but he was a man of the world, sort of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
How many children did you have?
I had the first marriage. I had 6.
Oh, wow!
6 children.
So you had 2 marriages.
Yes, 2 marriages. So then he had while we were there, he had a heart attack.
Oh no!
And he was 6 months in the hospital, and then he came out, went back to work, and after that, just in 1968, I met with an accident, a spinal accident, and I couldn't walk at all.
Oh, you had a...
Yes, the doctor said that I will never walk again. If I do walk, it will be with crutches. And I had great faith in the infant Jesus of Prague and Mother of Perpetual Help. And I said, I used to pray to Jesus, to allow me to walk. And in 6 months, I did walk on the Feast of St. Andrews.
Wow.
I walked completely, no crutches, nothing.
Really? So that's a miracle.
Yes, and the doctors were amazed at then.
Yes.
And with that, then he went back to work. I was all right for a year or 2. Then we decided to come to migrate to Australia. And there the financial situation was so hard that we were not, we had to make up the money to come. Then good friends of mine and Archbishop Knox from here, they helped us, and that's how we came to Australia.
Wow.
So I thought to myself, we are coming from the land of poverty to the land of riches where we can share what we have with others, which we couldn't do in India.
Which part of India are you from?
I'm from Madras, from the south.
Yes. And then you migrated to Australia?
We migrated to Australia in 1970, and after 6 months my husband died.
Oh no!
And I was left with the 6 children, and I'm so.
How old would you have been? How old were you when the children died? When your husband died?
30-something, 35 or something. I was, and so I was so thinking, what am I going to do? He used to ask God, what am I going to do? He took him and left me here. I used to go before my infant Jesus and say, what am I to do? And the words came to me, you're the strong one. That's why he kept me back to my husband. Anyway, from there I worked, and then 2 years after that I married again.
Wow.
And one of his friends I married to. And at that time, I didn't know he was an alcoholic.
Oh, no. Oh,
So,
you had a challenging... So,
challenge section.
yeah, because
So,
with your ex-husband, it was a challenge. And then...
yes, and
then-
again.
Oh.
Anyway, he was a very good man, but only his drink. And because he had a problem, he told me the problem and knew the problem. I tried to help him, but no, he just couldn't get over something of his past. So I just left it at that. I just pray and carried on. The drinking became heavy after some time. So we had 2 children by then, a boy and a girl. And at 17, it was 16 years I was together with him, and it became uncontrollable. He wouldn't go to the hospital or anything to get healed, and so we separated. We just separated for him not and got an interment order that he should not drink.
Yes.
So that on those grounds he was able to come to my house, and we carried on. After 2 years he died, so I was left there. And then in 1983 I had a heart attack, and the doctor stopped me from work. I couldn't work again, so I went to work in my parish, and from there the parish priest was very good. I worked 20 years there with them, voluntary basis, did everything that they wanted to do. And
You served God all that time.
And he was, and he taught me a lot. The parish priest, he taught me a lot. And from then on, in 3 years, I got spinal arthritis.
Oh, no. But you always had strong faith.
So I had spinal arthritis, but I never gave in to my illness. I still used to go to work, type with 2 fingers. It's
Very determined.
Yeah, determined to get through, not to give in to my illness. And with the grace of God, and I had great faith with the infant Jesus and Mother Perpetual Help. So I always used to go to them, when I wanted anything.
Yeah, we'll go for a break now, but
Okay.
it's great, very interesting. You've been watching Spirit of Life. We'll be back after the break.
Blow till I hear much breath of thy Spirit flowing in me. Blow, blow till I hear much breath of thy Spirit flowing in me.
Welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Catherine Dalby. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Geraldine.
Yes, you've had a very challenging life, and yet was very determined to keep your faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
From small, I think with the
From young.
upbringing of my father and my parents.
It started then.
Yes, it was right through with the adoration and everything, from there, never stopped.
That's fantastic.
And so what was...
I was going to ask about what does Infant of Jesus of Prague, what does it mean?
The Infant Jesus of Prague, which was the Infant Jesus, was with Father Cyril, who was in Prague. And the monastery was, they bombed the monastery, and then Jesus was under the rubble, and one of his hands was broken. But
That was the statue of Jesus.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was broken, the statue. So Father Cyril covered it up, and then he put it on the altar. But they were having a lot of problems, lots of problems. They couldn't get the money and everything. Then a carpenter came in there, and he went to the statue, and he was praying, and he wanted a job. And he said, and then he noticed one of the hands was missing. So he made a promise to say that if you repair, give me back my hands, you will get a job. You will get your job. And that's what he did. And he
repaired the hands,
He
and
repaired
he got
the hands,
the job.
got the job. Then the monastery where Father Cyril began to flourish because he didn't notice about the hand, till then. And the statue before that, I should say, was given by a Spanish queen or whatever to her daughter.
Oh.
That's how it came into force.
that's
And then that
amazing.
was given to Father Cyril when she died. That's what was given to him. And from then on, all the miracles was, people with lots of miracles happened there in Prague for
Yes.
it. So
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, I myself haven't been too much in devotions because I came to my faith in God through the Protestants, Pentecostals. But
Yeah.
when my mum was very ill, that she liked the devotion to the Infant Jesus of Prague, and so she asked us to say these prayers, and when we did, she actually got through. She was very close to death, and when we said the prayers over and over again, which some maybe different churches or Christians don't go into devotions, but I can see it's a very good way of a repetition of prayer of faith, and
yes.
And my mum actually got through that time, and she lived when she was actually about to die. So through those prayers, so I understand.
So that was the first miracle when I walked. That I had that.
Wow, that's amazing.
I walked without crutches and so forth, and every step of the way, what I have told you is the infant Jesus was there with his mother, Blessed Mother, perpetual help, to help me right through. To coming right up to Australia and the things that have happened here. And, of course, so when I got as I said, I had the heart attack in 1983 and I was put off work. I went to work and I had the spinal arthritis for 5 years.
Yes.
Again, I was healed by Father Tardif. My parish priest said to me, why don't you go? There's so many healings taking place.
Oh, wow.
So go. So I went with one of the nuns. She took me. We went there. And Father said there's 7 people healed of spinal arthritis.
Oh, wow.
And I was one of the 7.
Wow, you've had 2 big miracles.
I had more. There's lots more to come.
That's fantastic, because my friend and me, I was one of those people that was a bit skeptical about people praying over. But Father Tardif prayed over a friend of mine, and she was a skeptic, and she didn't believe in God. And what happened was, the Holy Spirit touched her so deeply, she fell onto the ground, and she wasn't able to stand up. But while she was down on the ground, God healed her from abandonment and childhood memories of rejection.
That's right.
And she when she got up, she was a new person, full of faith.
Yes, there was another person who couldn't see from birth, and she was healed and she could see.
Yes.
Things like that would have to increase your faith in what God can do for you, if you're faithful to Him.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It is. So that was the beginning. Then at 1992, Father Wahid Riyad came to our parish, opened up the charismatic group. And then he said to us, we had to have the baptism of the Spirit. So he had the baptism of the Spirit. And I went down in the Spirit, and all I can hear someone say, my gosh, she's got all the gifts of the Spirit. It was one of the leaders, This is what she said. Anyway, we finished with that, the baptism of Spirit. I was able to speak in tongues and so forth. And
what is the baptism of the Holy Spirit?
when they baptize you, say the prayers
when you're filled with the Holy Spirit?
Yes, the Spirit.
When you sort of give your life to God.
Give your
fully.
life there. They pray over you, and then the Spirit comes down upon you, and people get the gifts or whatever.
Yeah,
some get some don't. It depends.
Yeah, some people call it the baptism of love, isn't it? Where you feel the Holy Spirit.
No, we've always said the Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit, beautiful.
We always said the Holy Spirit, baptism of the Holy Spirit.
That's
it's the
wonderful.
release of the Holy Spirit into the person.
That's beautiful.
Yes. So he was baptized. Then 2 days later, he said, we need a leader for this group. So he picked 6 of us to go. And I said, Father, please, I have had no education. I don't know how to talk. I don't know the Bible. I said, please. I said, Father, I'm not going down. He said, no, you have to go. So I said, okay, I went. And for 5 days, I prostrated myself in front of the big cross in the church, and I said, Jesus, please give it to somebody else. Don't give it to me, please, please. I was begging him right through to give it to somebody else.
Yeah, on that note, I'd like to hear more about it after the break.
Sure.
You're watching Spirit of Life. We'll be back after the break. Hello, welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Catherine Dalby. Welcome back, Catherine.
Thank you.
You were talking about how you've sort of stuck with your faith through good times and bad times, and your parish priest asks you to be a leader, or someone asks you to be a leader?
Yes, he was charismatic, and he asked us to be the leader. He asked us to,
How did you feel about that? Because you were saying about not having education.
No, because I was, because I didn't have any education, so forth, and I thought, how am I going to give talks and so forth, and I didn't know the Bible, because in India we never used to read the Bible in India. It was all just go to catechism classes and so forth, and missions, during the missions we used to attend.
Yes.
And so I just went before the Lord, before the crucifix, and I was begging Jesus not to give me the position of a leader. And on the 5th day, the votes were to be taken, and I heard this voice say, "Open your mouth, and I will put the words in your mouth, that you may speak." I said, Jesus, please help me. I was begging Jesus still to give it to somebody else. And then I thought to myself, oh, that's what he said to Moses. He said to Moses, same words to Moses. Anyway, when they opened the votes, every vote was for me.
Wow.
So that's how I became the leader.
Well, congratulations for taking that role, because I met you nearly 25 years ago when you were the leader, and I thought, wow, what an inspirational woman. I remember meeting you, and just imagine all the thousands of people you've touched through your leadership, and I suppose like Mary, she felt not equipped, but she trusted God, so that's wonderful.
That's right. She was the Mother Lord, she was our intercessor too. Anything I wanted, I went through Mary to Jesus.
Yes, so she's your intercessor.
Yes.
And you have a devotion to Mary and Our Lady of Help or something? What was that you said?
Mother of Perpetual
Help. Yes, could you explain about the story of how you came to believe in the devotion of Our Lady?
From my dad.
Oh.
Things happen with illnesses, and Dad and Mom always used to pray. They used to, donate money too, and the illnesses were okay and so forth. That's how actually my dad was the one who was with the greatest faith, not so much as Mom, but my dad was. And whenever we went to church or anything, we both went together.
Yes.
So that sort of grew, and even in my marriage, the same thing. Never stopped going to church and for the adoration. Still kept on the same thing because I had a love for the Eucharist.
Yes, it's wonderful because I think during your time, it's
That's
similar
right.
to my parents' time. People didn't read the Bible that much.
Yes, that's right.
Because a lot of people who passed on the faith was through oral tradition, and they depended a lot on priests and nuns who studied the theology.
That's true.
And now that there's less nuns and priests, a lot of people, adults now study theology and get to know about the faith.
That's true.
Yes, so it's wonderful that you took on that leadership. And what did you do? What sort of ministries were you involved with?
I was involved with the healing ministry. I was involved with everything, all the charisms I had, that I was involved. And sometimes it was a bit when you're praying on people and suddenly they start oh my gosh, going off with saying, going out of action, like exorcism,
Oh, wow.
It is like
So
that,
sort of evil spirits
evil
coming
spirit
out.
into them, and sort of
Holy Spirit's presence.
Yes,
Oh.
and of course I didn't get afraid or anything like that.
Wow.
But the moment I saw what was happening, I just had to close the thing and bring it down, and then take her to the priest because I didn't have the authority for exorcism from the church.
So you referred them to the priest.
So refer them from the priest, and the priest pushed me, and that's the end we heard about the person again. So it was hard,
Hard work.
I don't think I would ever do exorcism.
Well, I think the
But
wonderful thing is you helped people.
But even there was another person who was, she had the black witch and the white witch, one from her mother and one from her grandmother.
Really? Oh.
And so I was able to take the white witch out, but I couldn't take the black witch out
Oh.
because, my hands were becoming like an old woman.
Wow.
In my hands. And when I saw that, I brought her back, took her back, and I said, no, I'm sorry. I said, I can't. She was screaming, please, please. I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it. You have to go to an exorcist. And I sent her to Father Shantley, and then he took that out. From
Yes,
there.
yeah. I've met Father Shandy. He's got a powerful ministry in
It is,
deliverance, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's good that you, gave people hope and referred them on where, where I suppose as lay people we know our limitations.
That's right,
And you referred them on and you gave them hope and helped their
and
healing.
they were all healed, The best part of it, they all came through everything there. And when they came back for prayer, I always used to say to them, give up everything, trust in God, and don't be afraid, I said, because God never forsakes us.
Yes.
And I used to tell them, because some of them, mostly it was caused through sin, like not sin, I'm sorry. Mostly it was caused to people can't forgive. Can't forgive. Forgiveness is the key to healing.
Yes.
And many people in my ministry, I find there's lots of unforgiveness. There was a man whose leg was to be amputated, and when he came, the first thing was that he had a lot of unforgiveness. And I told him that he had to go and forgive everybody and come back.
Yes.
And the Lord will heal him. And that's what happened to him.
Yeah, it's wonderful,
He
the
was
power of
healing.
forgiveness.
Yes, power of forgiveness.
Yeah. Kathy, it's been fantastic having you, and that story is powerful, and I really appreciate all you've shared in ministry. Wish you goodbye and God bless you. You've been watching Spirit of Life. Stay tuned next week. Goodbye and God bless you.